What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good evening, wherever you are, and whatever time it is. Welcome back to yet another video with your man, Immersioholic. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another round of the Arena Maxima Medieval Kingdoms 1212 Edition Tournament. That's right, everybody. We're getting back into another round of our currently running Arena Maxima tournament. This is using the Medieval Kingdoms 1212 mod, and this is my first ever tournament I'm actually participating in. So for you, everybody, I have my next round of battles here. That's right. This is going to be the quarterfinals of the MK1212 tournament. Unfortunately, the second round that I was placed into, my opponent wasn't able to complete all of their battles, so I was then pushed forward to the quarterfinals, playing up against Cyrus the Great. Cyrus the Great is also a YouTuber, goes by the name of Medjay of Fayum. I'll link his YouTube channel down below, so please feel free to go ahead and check them all out. We also have some other people posting videos of the tournament in our Discord, so feel free to go ahead and join, link in the description. And of course, if you want to get involved in battles yourself, get involved in tournaments, please join us. We have a very active multiplayer community. We're focusing a lot on historical titles, so Divided Empire is one of the most common things. If you're a regular viewer of my channel, you know that. But also, we're interested in MK1212 and other historical mods. Anyway, everybody, we're going to check out the battles today. I'm still, again, going to not be putting in timestamps just because I haven't had any feedback saying to do otherwise just yet. But if you would prefer to have them in there, potentially get spoilers from looking at that, that's okay. Just let me know down below, please. Anyway, for now, though, we're going to go ahead and continue. We're going to record all of the battles into one single main video so you can access all of them for your viewing pleasure. You don't have to sit around and wait for multiple uploads. You have it all in this single video, at least all of the quarterfinals that I'm playing in this particular one. So we have a best of 3 system. I've already gotten through round 1, round 2. I was passed through. Now is the quarterfinals. So that means that the next battles you will be seeing on the channel from this tournament will be the semi-finals. And I'm covering all of the semi-finals. If I make it to the semi-finals, I'll even cover that as well. And then, of course, the grand final, just like I did for our last Arena Maxima tournament. But anyway, everybody, let's go ahead and check out the army compositions. I am playing as the Kingdom of England in this first battle, and Cyrus is playing as the Kingdom of France. So an epic matchup if there ever was one. Let's go ahead and check out the army comps and then jump into the battle. Okay, starting on my left-hand side, we have some juicy cavalry. We got the late version of the English Knights, 2 of them. Both of them have 3 chevrons in total for experience. We also have a single set of handgunners over here on the far left-hand flank. These are then supporting my 3 sergeants late variant version. Very nice, high-quality swordsman right there. Then the center of my formation is going to be spearmen, so I have 3 sets of just spearmen, the early variant. But then behind them, I have 2 sets of billmen, again, early variants. So these guys aren't very well armored, but they are going to be basically pole-armed troops. So the pole arms will basically poke through the spears when it's time. I'll push them forward, so to smosh them together. These are then backed up by my English foot knights, and I have 2 versions of them. These guys are insane. Look at these bad boys. Oh my gosh. Whether you like the medieval period or not, you cannot deny that this mod has amazing units. It's insane how good they look. But anyway, these bad boys, they're essentially cataphracts on foot. They have an armor of 90. It's disgusting. They're going to do so well if I can get them into combat. We then have 3 more sets of sergeants, getting us to 6 total, and then another handgunner over here, English knights over there as well. So I have 3 sets of cavalry, and then I also have my general. Again, we also have very specific rules to follow in this tournament. Link will be in the Discord if you do want to go ahead and join and check it out. Anyway, let's check out Cyrus's army. Starting on the left-hand flank, we have... Oh gosh, I'm going to destroy these French pronunciations. Please don't hate me. Anyway, we have the French heavy shot cavalry, which is French Chevaliers, high tier version. We then have very heavy shot cavalry right here. I don't even think I could do this. The Gentis Homers Avec de Gobin. Avec de Gorbin. The Gorbin cavalry right there. Beautiful. In front of them we have dismounted French chevaliers, so more shock infantry. In the center we have 3 sets of sergeants, late variant. We then have spear ratsuyers, basically low sort of mid-tier spearmen. We then have 2 high-tier spears in the center, Pavosiers des Communes, high variant. We then have halberdiers des Communes as well over here. So actual halberdier, whereas on the left-hand side is a spearman unit. Interesting change. We then also have French archers down here in the back. So literally 1 unit of French archers, and then the 3E company. Not sure what that means, but it looks like it's essentially quite heavy archers. Yeah, the armor 55, that's quite substantial. He then is also using a single unit of gunners, more dismounted French chevaliers, and then sergeant d'arms, swordsmen on the right hand flank, backed up by gens d'armes, knights essentially. Amazing cavalry. Again, these units look so incredible, but anyway, that's enough of me talking. Oh, we also have the general over here, which is the Roi de France. The king of France is right here, coming in to get involved. Did I state who my general is? Let me remember. Oh, I just have a king's bodyguard. Here he is. So English king versus the French king, everybody. Let's go ahead and press play. And then I will fast forward a little bit until we actually see the combat beginning. Alright everyone, here we go. I'm getting fairly aggressive with my English army here. You can see as I hold down spacebar, I'm pushing forward quite substantially. My swordsmen are looking to square up against his axemen and swordsmen. Does have his knights behind here. I have my gunners as well, which are targeting his shock infantry. I'm very concerned about his shock infantry in this fight. They are incredible, just like mine. Not only that, but if I give the attack order to them, they'll hopefully hit the knights behind. In fact, they have already killed one of them. His cavalry and shock infantry are absolutely terrifying. So my gunners are going to be targeting them. Same thing over here on my right-hand flank. He has these 2-handed, what do you call them? French chevaliers. Insane unit. He is sending forward his archers as well. He does have range advantage over me. I believe he's trying to target my handgunners with his archers. Let's see, he's about to open fire. What's he targeting? Yes, he is. Ooh, there goes a volley. Deadly stuff. Not the most accurate, and we're quite far away, but when they do hit, they're going to do some serious damage. Anyway, I've also killed off almost about 10 of his knights over here, so that's going to make it severely weakened. I'm probably going to be pretty happy in charging my knights head on in against them now. My gunners are still just ignoring his gunners now. I don't care about them. I care about killing his knights. That's the priority. Right hand flank is the same thing. My knights are squaring off against his. I also have gunners to support. Meanwhile, to distract him a little bit, I'm going to be throwing my front line towards him. Swordsman, I move forward. I do get countercharged on the right and mess up my micro pretty badly. Very big mistake, in fact. I do get it 1 countercharge, but by then it's a little bit too late because I was busy giving attack orders over here. So on his right, my left, I'm actually the one that gets the charge against a lot of his units, but he does respond in kind. We're also going to be charging his cavalry momentarily. Right hand flank, he went and charged my cav. I charged his with one of mine. And then I have my gunners targeting his general while my other cavalry goes ahead and does a counterattack against them. Basically, I pulled my cavalry back, charged in my other one, and now we've done a sort of circle charge. He does manage to charge my gunners, which is unfortunate, but they'll probably come back from routing when it's time. My left-hand flank, I've annihilated his cavalry. They probably will come back from routing, but that's okay. They're going to run off the battlefield for a while first. Gunners end up routing over here. My swordsmen are taking an absolute beating against the shock infantry. However, I also have snuck in some of my men against him. For example, my axemen over here are about to outflank his swordsmen. And then this unit of axemen is going in to try and get into this gap if possible, or I might have them go ahead and attack that axeman unit. I'm charging his gunners now, because why not? We need to take them out. Don't need my cavalry being sniped. His shock infantry punch a massive hole through my line, just like it's butter. Very tough to deal with. Meanwhile, the English king is getting involved against the French king. Looking for a one-on-one here. We get our charge disrupted slightly, unfortunately. We have routed one of his cavalry units. It'll probably come back from routing. But he has 2 more here that are stuck in a grind-out fight against 3 of my men. Although he does have axemen right here, which is a little bit scary, and he's charging them in. My gunners are also going to be getting involved, trying to do some targeting, but they've been severely weakened. Meanwhile, front line is looking okay for me. I'm actually doing relatively well. I haven't lost too much there yet. And we're also starting to dissect his axemen and gunners. Gunners came back from routing like I predicted, but we're hitting them with our gunners. My cavalry are also doing flying wedge formation, rear charges against these heavy swords. My axemen that outflanked the enemy chomped through them like it's nothing. So now this right hand side, despite it having actually a good charge against us, we're doing very, very well. We're now directing back towards the center where my weaker spearmen are to reinforce them. My pole arms are doing quite well though. They're holding just fine. That's all they need to do. Get a nice charge, take out his swordsman. Doing some cycle charges against his general and the axemen right here. The axemen are going to do quite well against my knights. I probably should have been a bit more on top of my game in terms of recharging everyone. So a bit of a mistake on my part. His archers are over here harassing my gunners still, but I'm going to ignore them. Meantime, my axemen are about to do a rear charge. My axemen are also pushing against these spearmen that have pushed through my center now. And here it comes, the charge from the axemen. Oh, mate. Good luck against that. Wavering, and yeah, they lose so many men just shortly after that charge is finished. His axemen over here with his general end up routing, and his general is so close to getting killed off. If I can snipe the general, very good chance of it being GG. I'm also wrapping up his left-hand flank. Doesn't have much that he can do to stop me over here. He does have pole arms that had turned around against my cavalry. I'm just going to run away. That's fine with me. We've only lost 3 men. We'll go on a little trip. That's completely fine. My infantry are going to swarm his pole arms, try and tie them up. My cavalry will just continue doing rear charges against what remains of his main line. But my axemen right here and then back over here have done amazing against his own axemen and units that push through. Does have 1 unit left, but there we go. The general is killed. His cavalry are trying to come back. We do a flying wedge charge against them. They shatter directly on impact. So many of his men are going to begin routing now. His general is dead. The unit is about to rout. At least it should. He does have his shock infantry coming back, but see my cavalry again still surviving so well in the background, chasing down his archers. His main front line has all but entirely collapsed. We're now trying to wrap up the enemy. So you're going to see me pull back some of my men. We'll try and circle around the pole arms. Gunners are also coming in to attack the pole arms since they're basically like short pikes, but it's essentially over by this point. Cyrus, unfortunately, ends up losing our first battle. The French are defeated by the English, as they should be. Just kidding, kind of. Anyway, GG's to Cyrus, though. That was a really fun battle. But I take the first battle in this best of 3. So now we're going to move on to battle 2. Although, let's very quickly check out the stats together, just to reflect on them a little bit. But here you can see quite instantly my shock infantry did amazing. Triple digit kills, and they lost very few men. My men-at-arms, sergeants, sorry, did relatively okay. His main line was quite solid though, and still did some good counter charges against me. Handgunners, not a lot of kills, but very vital kills. They're killing shock infantry, they're killing knights. That's what they really need to focus on. Spearmen and my polearms just held the line. Spearmen were pretty weak, but they had to be cheap because my other units were very expensive. And then my cavalry. All of them survived. One of them got 254 kills. Redonkulus. King got involved as well. His army wasn't bad at all. His shock infantry did just as good as mine, just about. His main issue with his army was his archers not really contributing all that much. And then his cavalry. I was able to micromanage my cav to charge his and sort of draw him out and end up cycle charging a couple times. And then I also was able to snipe some of his men with, I believe it was this unit right here. Got 0 kills for such an expensive unit. You just can't let that happen, unfortunately. But this was just battle 1, so let's go ahead and jump into battle 2, and let's see if Cyrus can bring it back and get us to a full best of 3 series. Okay, everybody, here we are in battle 2 in this best of 3 series. Your boy Measureholic taking on Cyrus the Great. Again, link to his YouTube channel will be listed down below. This time though, we're changing things up. We are going back to the Middle East, and we are playing as the Seljuk Sultanate of Rum. That's right, we're getting back to playing the Seljuks. I've been trying to play as like Eastern factions throughout this whole campaign. I mean, this whole tournament. But that last battle, I figured, you know what, let's just try and do something a little bit different. And I also want to save some of these Eastern factions for the end game if I can make it. But since I won the first battle, I'm feeling a little bit more confident. I'm going to bring the Seljuks in. I really like them, and just playing Eastern factions in general. Cyrus is playing as the Swiss canton of Schwyz. I'm just going to call him the Swiss anyway. But he's playing as Switzerland. Some amazing heavy infantry and whatnot for them. But let's go ahead and check out my army, check out his, and then we'll jump into the battle. So let's start at the rear of my army. Nice juicy rear with all of this cavalry. We have 3 sets of Balkan nobles. Very small units each. 45 men per unit. But they are just disgusting. Armor of 90. Very, very deadly. That armor of 90 is going to end up being crucial for any cav unit, but hopefully for this battle as well. I then have my general's bodyguard, which is just a horse archer slash shock unit. But not as heavy, only 65 armor. Still decent, but not great. Considering I need to protect my general. Anyway, you can see though that my army composition is pretty similar to last time. I have some gunners over here on the left hand side. Not going to bother trying to pronounce the pronunciation. We then have 3 sets of Voynich swordsmen, late version. So again, some sort of mid to heavy swordsmen. I would call them more heavy, but the game says medium. In front of them, we are again using 1 set of polearm spearmen. Spearmen right there, sorry. We then have 3 mercenary Armenian spearmen in the center, another polearm over here on the right, and we now have 2 sets of shock infantry. This is a Yensieri Balta Celer, or Keller. Very, very nice shock infantry unit. We have 1 right there, and then another 1 right here. Quite rare for Eastern factions to even have shock infantry, let alone heavily armored ones. So this might be a bit of a nice surprise. Not too sure how familiar Cyrus is with the mod, but if I was him, I wouldn't expect it. Anyway, 3 more sets of Voynich swordsmen, and then another gunner here on the right. You can see that I do like to use gunners and swords and spears. Absolutely. Although I am trying out some different compositions throughout like other online battles I've been doing, but this is just what I find to be comfortable. So if you yourself are sort of new to tournaments or online play, I really recommend you try to do a army composition that you're comfy with, that you feel fairly confident with. This isn't the best, this isn't the meta. As you can see, all my opponents I've faced so far, they've been doing very different army compositions, but to me, this is just what I like to use. Anyway, let's go ahead and check out Cyrus's Swiss army. Starting from the left hand side, again, I'm going to probably not bother with too much of these pronunciations, but we have some halberdiers, mid-tier polearm infantry unit. We then have some very heavy shock infantry right here, 2-handed axemen. Alright, I'll zoom in later. Let's go ahead and just get the army comp. We then have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of heavy swordsmen. Very nice. The armor is at 55, so quite similar to my own. He's then backing these up with 3 sets of spearmen though. These are going to be heavy spears. 40 armor though, so not as good as the swordsman. Now though, he's also bringing crossbows. He's not bringing any archers this time, right? You know, no archers. But he's bringing 2 sets of gunners and then 2 sets of crossbows. And these crossbows are sort of mid-level. Again, 40 armor is floating around at mid-level. Although this crossbow, sorry, is lower tier, 15 armor. This is the Landstrom and Broadschützen crossbowman. And this is the Eidgen Ossen. That one, yeah. Heavy crossbows, light crossbows, everybody. Oh my goodness, I'm sure I offended a bunch of people. Did not mean to. He has 4 sets of shot cavalry up here in the back. He has some very heavy shot cav over here though. Armor 90, just as good as my Balkan nobles that we're paying to fight for the Seljuks. However, he then has a bit more of like a mid / sort of heavy shot cav unit right here. Armor is way down at 55 though, and you're going to hear me talk about armor quite a lot. Something I feel like is important in this mod is, dare I say, armor. We then have another shot cavalry unit right there. And this unit has 2 silver chevrons, by the way. This one has 1 silver chevron, another 1 silver chevron. And then the general, no chevrons. But this is going to be another 90 armor heavy shot cavalry unit. Cool little hat right there, mate. Sick looking armor. Let's go ahead and press play. I'm going to shut up and let's fast forward until the battle's beginning. Okay, everybody, here we go. First blood is drawn. My gun is opening fire on Cyrus's axemen. My main thoughts, or my main game plan here, is to try to isolate and annihilate the units that I'm actually fearful of in his army. So that's going to be his 2 axemen units. One over there, one over there. And then his cavalry. That's essentially it. The rest of his army, while still formidable, isn't going to win him the actual battle. What will win him the battle is units that will kill. Here's another barrage of my gunners coming and getting involved. Cutting down a bunch of his own gunners, despite their insane armor. Look at that, oh my gosh. Not entirely sure how realistic that is, but anyway. My gunners are more lightly armored, however, we do have a few more men in them, so our volleys will be a little bit more substantial. Meanwhile, my main front line of spearmen and pole arms on either flank is moving forward slowly. He is also simply just holding. I'm completely fine with that. I'm not looking to even push in the center, really. I will move my forces forward slowly, but I'm not going to be too aggressive. Center is designed to hold the enemy. The main action is going to be on the flanks with these swords and gunners and cavalry, especially on my right. My left, I'll be a little bit more opportunistic with this, since I only have 1 cav unit, but he only has the 1 as well. I also only have 1 gunner, and I'm feeling pretty confident in my micromanagement. However, his cavalry is better, and it also has a silver chevron, basically quite experienced. So I can't let them engage my cavalry in a fair fight. So to try and help that out, I'm going to distract his gunners by just pushing forward my swordsmen along the left-hand flank. He's going to charge with his axemen and swordsmen. They will win, but all I need to do is buy time. Speaking of which, the center of my army is now moving forward. We're going to be getting into shield wall right in front of his men and having a bit of a stare down. His crossbowmen are wasting their bolts on them. My pole arms are going to push into his swords though, and they're going to be a little bit more aggressive. Here we have a major push coming in on my left-hand side. He sends an attack order. I pull my cavalry back. In the meantime, my gunners are going to get some free shots on his cavalry. Let's just zoom in briefly. We're about to get 1 volley. Oh, there it is. Instantly losing 5, almost getting to 10 of his cavalry dead pretty quickly. On the right-hand flank, similar story. My gunners are annihilating his cav. He sends in an attack order against this unit. I charge forward this unit and pull back the unit he was supposed to charge. That way, he doesn't get a charge against my cavalry. My gunners are still going to pepper him, and my cavalry can come back and get involved. Although this side, he does micromanagement a little bit better, in that he charges my gunners pretty quickly after. So he will end up actually routing them, but that's okay. They've done their job, getting some good damage against his cav. I'm going to win the cav fight on the right. It's almost guaranteed. However, his gunners are still a threat, and I need to make sure his general doesn't come in and tip the balance. Meanwhile, on my right-hand side, my gunner is routing. On the far left-hand side, his cavalry is about to rout. So a little bit of a mix and match, although I am wrapping around his flank on this left-hand side. And now my gunners, instead of supporting the cavalry fight, are actually focusing on killing his axemen. These guys are really, really scary. I need them gone yesterday. So even though they're just attacking my swordsman head on, they would have won, but my gunners ended up doing some serious damage. I'm going to start swarming along the left-hand side. My axemen are also getting involved. They're getting some serious kills. They've killed 72 men, and they have not lost a single man. Center is still literally just sitting there, completely fine with me. My polearm troops are actually pushing through his swords. Polearms are really, really powerful. My axemen charge his axemen, although his axes are a little bit depleted now. My swordsmen over here, not in the most favorable engagement, but again, they're holding the line, which is what I'm looking for. Because on the right-hand flank, he did charge his general over. However, my cavalry are about to cycle charge. Gunners have come back from routing. And here comes the charge against his general. In wedge formation, that does make a difference. Highly recommend you use it yourselves, everybody. But essentially, so far, I have done exactly what I wanted to do. I dissected his axemen that were over here. His cavalry on his right are long gone, so now I'm just rolling up his left-hand flank alongside with my swordsmen, gunners, axemen, and cavalry. Insane units, very hard to stop. On my right-hand flank, I haven't won the flank just yet, but it's looking good. The main threat he has is his general and his gunners, but I'm going to try and focus on them a little bit. Even then, the gunners, I'm not too worried about. Cyrus seems more interested in using his gunners against my infantry. And his micro hasn't been amazing with them. I'm going to bring my general over, although he then does actually some really nice micro and targets my general. So that's going to be a problem for me. I'll back him off shortly. Center is just still getting wrapped up. My swordsman, my spearmen in the center are now pushing forward, again to engage the enemy. So that way, any units that are doing this big swipe will just end up being able to hit them in the rear of my cavalry. Ties up his crossbowmen. This other unit of crossbows has been firing the whole time. They've got 44 kills. I don't really care. They're not really too much of a big deal. Not much of a big threat. His entire front line is basically decimated. He has his generals still, but barely. He's getting surrounded. His gunners are over here. Potentially doing a bit of friendly fire as well. Oh no, never mind. They are targeting my general now. Could have seen me move my general back. A little bit careless with my general again. A running theme throughout all of these battles. I keep letting my general get hurt when he shouldn't. However, swordsmen swoop around, tie up his gunners. His gunners will probably win, but that's okay. Just looking to tie them up for now. My other infantry also rushing over, and now these axemen and swordsmen are free. They'll come in and help out. And his general. I believe that was him that just fell like right there, potentially. Either way, it doesn't matter. His general is gone. Instantly shatters. The rest of his army ends up shattering. That's it. GG's. Cyrus the Great, playing as the Swiss, is defeated in our second battle. Whew. What a battle that was. That was actually really tough for me. GG's to my man Cyrus. He's an amazing content creator, by the way. Please go into the description where you'll see a link to his channel. Go ahead, check him out, say g'day. Tell him your boy Emergaholic sent you. But yeah, he just got really unlucky on his right-hand flank. I was able to wrap it up so quickly. Just dissected his cav really fast, and then his axeman, and then after that, he didn't really have too much that could stop me. He just wasn't able to do the same to me. Let's very quickly have a look at these stats. Not even going to fade in and out. We're just jumping straight into it. You can see army size, we were almost entirely equal. However, his losses were just so severe. Not only did they rout, but they died, right? Like, almost all of his units were completely wiped out here. He had his gunner left, his general, which ended up routing, and a couple other extra units. But his cavalry wiped out, which I had to wipe them out. They just kept coming back from routing anyway. But kill for kill, you could see my axemen did amazing. They killed over 1/3 of his army, just on their own. Actually, not over 1/3, just, just around 1/3. My polearms came in pretty nice with 150 kills between them. I'll take that. My gunners getting 200 kills. All of those shots being on very valuable units, by the way. That's pretty insane. Really, really worthwhile investment. You should pretty much always bring gunners when you can. At least currently in the state of this mod. My Balkan nobles were okay. They didn't necessarily get massive numbers of kills, but they defeated his cav, which is exactly what they were there to do. Then they started doing some rear charges. My general didn't even have to get involved. My swordsman, floating around 50 kills per unit almost. I'm okay with that. They're not there to get a massive amount of kills. They're there to do some damage and tie up the enemy. That's what they do. Sort of similar story for my spears. Don't need many kills. They just held the line for as long as they needed to. And that was that. They were essentially cannon fodder from my cavalry. Axemen, polearms, and gunners to do the actual killing. For his army, he actually had quite a solid selection of the units. He didn't do bad whatsoever with his army comp. The only minor thing I would recommend changing is just the crossbows. It's so hard to get skirmishes at all to be useful in online play, let alone in like a tournament play. And then crossbows themselves, while, yeah, sure, they got 50 kills, but they were shooting mainly at my main line. They were nowhere near my cavalry, so they weren't really getting substantial kills, in my opinion. He could have perhaps brought like some cheap militia spears that might have been able to help him on the flank, or at least just tie up my swords a little bit more. But yeah, overall he did excellent. Just got to be unlucky with the cav charges. He gave the right order, just I was able to counteract that order, and then it sort of just fell apart from there. Anyway, again, GG's to my man Cyrus. Very much appreciated hanging out. That means that I move on to the semifinals, everybody, so please keep an eye out on the channel for that. I'll be uploading that at a very, very close time to this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I shall see you in the next one.